Welcome to Your Yes Filled Life. I'm Brenda Winkle, energetic leadership guide, psychic medium, and somatic coach for ambitious leaders who know their gifts are real and who want to stand fully in them. Here, you'll learn how to trust your intuition, embody your vision, and step into the freedom you've been craving, all without chasing more certifications or carrying stuff that does not belong to you. Every week, I'll share powerful practices and conversations with thought leaders and changemakers that help you transform your vision into embodied confidence, claim your gifts without apology, and lead with both clarity and freedom. Because your gifts aren't cute, they're powerful, they're real, and they're needed. Start today by downloading my free energy audit at brendawinkle.com/audit. It's the exact tool I use to track what's fueling me and what's draining me. It will help you discern between that hit of achievement and true joy so that you can lead with more clarity and impact. This is your space to stop proving, start embodying, and live fully in your gifts. Welcome to Your Yes-Filled Life. Hello, and welcome to Your Yes-Filled Life. I'm your host, Brenda Winkle. Today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about the age-old, well, it's not age-old, but decades-old song by The Clash, Should I Stay or Should I Go? When pulling away is wisdom and when pulling away is a stress response. So I want to talk about a question that a lot of really thoughtful, high capacity people wrestle with. And usually it's in silence. And that question is, how do you know when walking away is aligned? And how do you know your nervous system is just overwhelmed? Or maybe you're working through a trauma, or you're stuck in a child or protector part. So the question gets really tender because the stakes are real, right? If you're in this in between, you're maybe considering housing. Like, should I stay in this house or should we find different housing? Or maybe it's relationships. Should I stay in this marriage? Or friendships. Should I stay in this friendship? Or careers. Should I stay in this career? Or job. Should I stay in this job? Or even business. Should I stay in business? Here's the thing I want you to know. If you've been asking yourself this question lately, you're not confused. And you're definitely not broken. You don't need to be fixed. It means you're taking your decisions really seriously. And we're going to be talking about how to know the difference between an aligned, this is not for me, that you can really trust. And we're going to be talking about when there might be more to work on and how to know the difference. And the framework that I'm going to give you is going to clear this up in a way that's going to feel really, really good. Because here's the thing. If you have been considering, should I stay or should I go? On any topic, you care about that topic deeply, whether it's your relationship, your career, your home, your town, your decision that you're making about your family, whatever it is. So let's dive in first with what it might look like or feel like if there's something coming up that needs attention that may not be necessarily a sign to go. Okay? So when you have an activated child part or protector part, in fact, let's even go back one step further. If we look at the work of IFS, Internal Family Systems, which is a therapeutic model created by Dick Schwartz. By the way, I'm not a therapist. I don't provide or offer therapy. I want to make that very clear. But I am a trauma-informed somatic coach with ISF-informed training. So I want to make that little distinction there because it really matters. Anything that I offer you is definitely not therapy. So when we talk about a inner child part or a protector part, what we're talking about is some point in time when you experienced something very difficult. Let's do child parts first, okay? So doesn't actually have to do with childhood. You could have a child part that's 45. That happens a lot in my practice as a somatic coach, where someone will realize that there's actually a part. So what happens is when you're under-resourced or under-supported, and something happens that exceeds your nervous system capacity to cope, then what we have is trauma. And if you go on through that trauma, under-resourced, under-supported, resourced meaning maybe you don't have anyone to process through with those emotions or process the experience with, or maybe you literally are short on resources. It could be anything. And then you don't have the support that you need, then the trauma will create like a little freeze frame. And in that freeze frame, that time in your life is now freeze framed as a part. And that part with unmet needs is seeking to have those needs met in any way possible. This is the framework that's at work when you find yourself behaving like a petulant teenager and you're like, what's going on here? I am behaving like somebody I don't even know right now. Well, there's a child part that's been activated. It is an unmet need from a specific time period in your life. And let's be clear, you don't have one inner child, you have a whole preschool down there. And your preschool also has some extra old graduates because maybe you have a 45 or 55 or 65 or 75 or 85-year-old part in there too. So when you have an activated child part, that child part is trying to get those needs met. Now, the role of the protector part is just slightly different. It's a little bit more nuanced. The protector part is more like an archetype. In other words, the protector part has a job to do, a specific role that they play to protect you from further pain. So the protector part might be the manager or the perfectionist or the people pleaser or the firefighter. And so that role comes up, and that protector will prevent you from doing anything that might hurt you. It's your body's way of pumping the brakes when something feels scary or hard, or your nervous system reads it as a potential threat. In any case, whether it's a child part or protector part, doesn't really matter. What you're going to feel is a sense of urgency. You're going to notice looping thoughts, perhaps overthinking. You're going to feel an intense desire for relief right now or yesterday. And you're going to feel pressure to decide so that the feeling will stop. This is not wrong. It's not wrong. It doesn't make you bad. It doesn't make you weak. You don't need to be fixed. You're not broken. You're not doing anything wrong. And I really want you to hear that. This is your body's way, your nervous system's way of trying to reduce discomfort. And I want to be very clear. Having this response does not mean you're immature, unregulated, or doing something wrong. Okay? Now, let's contrast that with what it feels like to be completely regulated, to have the nervous system on board with whatever you're doing. When that happens, oh, my nose is tickling again. Sorry. When that happens, your body settles first. You can feel like, whew, there's a locking in the body. Locking in meaning, oh, I'm settled in my body. I'm confident. I'm embodied. I am not up in my head. I can feel my body. I feel confident. Even if I'm feeling a little unsure or uncertain, I can still feel that confidence in my body. When this happens, you'll notice that you're taking deeper breaths. The body's more relaxed. Decisions feel slightly quieter and simpler. And really, really important thing to mention is grief or sadness might be present even in regulated clarity, but it does not have panic. There's no sense of urgency. And I want to be crystal clear on this next part. Sometimes clarity does not feel good. It feels clean, and that feels good. It doesn't mean that you won't have emotions. It doesn't mean you won't feel a way about the clarity that you have. Clarity doesn't mean that, oh, I'm going to go right off into the sunset and see just only unicorns and rainbows from now on. Oh my gosh, I wish. But no, that's not what clarity means. Clarity means it's clean, it's resolute, it's clear. So, this is a really crucial distinction between when you're in an activated state and you're seeking relief, and when you're in a regulated state, you have clarity and you're deciding to stay or go. Those are really different. Both experiences can sound like, I want to leave. Only one of those comes from steadiness. That's really important. I'm going to say it again. Both experiences can sound like, I want to leave. Only one comes from steadiness. Now, the work that we do here is not about deciding faster. The work is settling enough, getting the nervous system regulated enough to tell the difference. So, I want to tell you a story. This is a recent experience, my real life. I'm not doing this to explain myself. I'm not doing this to make anyone wrong, but I want to show you what this looks like in real life. So, just so that you know, I'm not intentionally leaving out details, except I'm totally intentionally leaving out details because this is not about anybody else. This is about me. This is about my own process. So, I recently came across an opportunity, and the opportunity made sense. I took my time. I didn't rush it. I regulated my system repeatedly. Like, I checked in with myself. I was checking with my values, making sure there's values alignment. I checked in with my capacity. I was thinking about my integrity. Can I accept this opportunity in integrity? And that was kind of the way that I had originally accepted the opportunity. I knew it was right because I had taken my time, I was regulated. I had feelings about it. I had that normal sense of, oh, I'm kind of nervous. I'm feeling a little bit unsure because I don't know what's going to be asked of me. I don't know all the systems, that kind of thing. But I was pretty clear. But then there came a turning point. And once I settled into the opportunity, well, some things became clear. The answer was already there. And the answer was, this was not an aligned opportunity. And I didn't leave because I was uncomfortable. If I would have left because I was uncomfortable, I would have been doing it because I had an activated child part or protector part. If I would have left to seek relief, that would have been an activated child part or protector part. When we do things just to seek relief, sometimes we can miss the mark a little bit, but that wasn't the case for me. I was completely regulated. I was completely calm. Well, I felt a way. I definitely felt grief, disappointment, a little sadness, but I left because when I regulated myself, I could see what continuing in this opportunity would cost. So, here's something that I'm seeing more clearly than ever, and it's really important. So, if you've been multitasking, I want you to come back to me right now to hear this because this experience taught me something which I've known but didn't quite have the language for until right now. Some environments don't allow regulation to actually fully form. They will not allow you to regulate your emotions or your nervous system. Some environments, especially high pressure environments. So if you have a high pressure role that requires performance, you are not going to be able to emotionally process, and you're not going to be able to emotionally regulate in the moment because you're expected to perform. And when I say this, I'm talking about people in high pressure jobs, physicians, nurses, educators, first responders. There's no way to feel your feelings in some of the experiences and moments that you are living through if you have a high pressure position like that. Stress accumulates when there's no space to metabolize it. And that accumulation of stress is a problem for a lot of different reasons, and we'll get into it. But here's the biggest problem. If there's no room to feel your emotions in the moment, and there's no room to feel afterward, like there's no actual processing that happens, it gets very difficult to be discerning. And it's just noisy. Here's the thing I want you to really get. It's not because you're unskilled. It's not because you're not emotionally intelligent. It's not because you can't regulate your nervous system. It's not because you have a dysregulated nervous system. It means that the environment that you're living or working in is more demanding than your system can sustainably give. It's the environment. The environment is demanding. So, if you're in this right now, I want to offer a few questions. And the thing that I really want to invite you to do is maybe even write these down. Maybe open the notes app on your phone and write down these questions because these are going to be really, really helpful for you. So, I'm pausing to think. Okay. So let me tell you more of a story because I really want to ground this. And I don't feel like I've done a good job yet. I was in a situation I was in a situation a couple of weeks ago, and this was a repeating kind of a situation where there was a weekly gathering that was happening. The gathering was very fast paced, very high pressure. And in the gathering, when I was leading a group of people, there were a lot of moving parts. There were a lot of personalities, a lot of things that needed to happen, and a ton of competing priorities. When I got there the very first time, I could feel that there were competing priorities, but I didn't understand the impact that those competing priorities were having on me. The second time I went, I could feel in the moment that I was having a hard time articulating. I was searching for words. I wasn't remembering things that I normally remember, and I was making mistakes. And it's not that I never make a mistake. I do. I make a ton of mistakes, but I was like in my zone of genius and making mistakes. And I could feel myself holding back, and I could feel myself not fully engaging, and I could feel myself not defending myself. Like there were some things that were not great directed at me, and I didn't defend myself. I knew they felt bad, but in the heat of the moment, and by the way, I teach boundaries, right? My friends call me the boundary queen. But in the moment, I did not feel empowered to set the boundary that needed to be set because of what I had been told about what it meant to be a part of this organization. So on the way home, I just had like an emotional release and I just cried in the car on the way home. And then I thought to myself, okay, I'm just going to try better. I'm going to try harder. I'm going to do it another time. So I worked to prepare myself a little bit better, worked to better understand the organization. And then I got to the meeting again. And this one was different. The dynamics were slightly different. There were a few less people there, but the pressure was higher. There were some really pointed things said, and there was a level of rudeness and disrespect directed towards me, which is not okay and not typical for me to tolerate, even for a minute. I have spent the last 19 years unpacking the damage that an abusive marriage had on me. And it literally has taken 19 years. And so to be in a position where people were not being kind to me, in fact, openly unkind, and then to have other people not say anything and just have it go sort of unchecked was really painful. And I went round and round and round in my mind on, is there a lesson here that I'm supposed to learn about how to stick in it longer, to try harder, to talk more, to, communicate better? Is that the lesson? And I really sat with that question, and I noticed myself getting into the overthinking loop. Like, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to learn from this? Am I supposed to just keep trying and let it evolve? And so then I thought to myself, okay, Brenda, you are activated. I was activated. I was crying. I was literally crying in my garage when I parked my car in the garage on that second time. And so I just took some time and I said something to myself, and I'm going to invite you to say this right now too. I just patted my hand on my heart like I would pat a baby's back. And I just said, Brenda, you're doing the best that you can. And I just repeated it over and over and over again. Brenda, you're doing the best that you can. And as I said that, I could feel my eyes filling with tears, just like they are now. And I could feel a softening, like an emotional softening. And then because I acknowledged to myself the pain that I was in, I was able to take some deep breaths. And then I started a little bit of tapping on the collarbone point. I took some more deep breaths. I got my body regulated. And then I was clear. It doesn't mean I didn't feel the pain, but I was clear. I was not running from something. I was protecting myself in wanting to leave. I didn't want to leave because I was avoiding. I wasn't avoiding a lesson. I wasn't avoiding an opportunity to have a conversation. I wasn't avoiding an opportunity to build relationships. I wasn't avoiding an opportunity to like deepen into whatever. I was protecting myself. And it took me this experience over the past few weeks to realize that is the difference. That's the discernment. When you're regulated and you're calm, there's clarity. There's a deep knowing this is for me or this is not for me. There's a deep knowing. And then I also want to normalize that as soon as you get back into motion, let's say it's the next day or the next week or whatever getting back into motion looks like for you, for most of us, there's going to be a few moments of gaslighting ourselves where we'll tell ourselves, it's not that bad. Oh, I think I made too much of it. I'm making mountains and molehills again. Maybe I really am just too sensitive. And I'm telling you this because I went through this week. Now, I will admit that there's a level of frustration that comes with this because I do this work all the time. And yet I found myself right back in that place. But we've been talking about identity on the podcast for the last several weeks, and this is part of my identity shift. I've also alluded to the fact that I'm moving through my own identity shift, and it has a lot to do with up-leveling my standards of what is acceptable to me, what I will tolerate, what I will not tolerate, what I am available for, and what I am no longer available for. And that identity shift is still settling in because not to get too weird or woo-woo on you, but I feel like I have just collapsed time and moved another timeline. Like I don't recognize myself. I don't recognize the clothes in my own closet as being comfortable to me. They feel like an old version of me. They feel like it's just not old, like old in age, but like former. Like, what is it that I'm even wearing right now? It doesn't feel like me. And to have this realization that I still felt like it was difficult for me to actually choose me made me realize, oh, this is the disconnect. Because you know what? When I'm just home and I'm doing my work and I'm working with clients and I'm teaching inside of my group programs and I'm inside my membership, the spiritual CEO, it's very easy for me to maintain a completely regulated nervous system state. It's very easy for me to be crystal clear on this is aligned, this is not aligned because I'm completely regulated. But out in the wild being, the rest of our lives, when we're not with like-minded people, we're not with other empaths, we're not with other intuitives, we're just like out in the jungle that is the world, the problem becomes the world is so pressurized and moving so quickly that it becomes difficult for us to discern, am I wanting to walk away from this because I'm trying to avoid something that I should be actually facing for my own personal growth and evolution? Or am I wanting to walk away from this because it's actually aligned for me? And the answer lies in the regulation. When you can get your body completely regulated, body's completely calm, emotions are completely calm. That might mean you feel sadness or grief or anger or unfairness, but you're completely calm. There's no other backstory. There's no like, but he said, but she said, there's no blame. There's like a neutrality. Then it's time to go. So, this kind of discernment does not come from pushing harder. In fact, the harder you push, the more confusing it will get and the more gaslighting you'll do for yourself. Ask me how I know. This discernment, a level of discernment like this, comes from having space, support, and time in your body. So, whatever that means you need to do, invitation to do it. That might mean that for the first time ever, you set a timer on your phone for 10 minutes and you pull over somewhere on your way home from work and you just allow yourself 10 minutes to process whatever happened. Maybe you take some deep breaths. Maybe you talk to yourself. Maybe you pat your chest and just say to yourself, you know what? You did the best you could today. Maybe you tap on a shoulder or a collarbone point. Maybe you journal. Maybe you voice note. Maybe you just cry. I don't know what you need. Maybe you just need to release and just say, wow, that was a really hard day. Because let's face it, times are hard right now in the United States. I think they're hard anywhere, but they're particularly hard right now in the United States. And give yourself grace and time. So that would be one thing you could do. Pull over, give yourself 10 minutes. The next thing you could do is to give yourself an hour or two per week where you're not doing anything, you're not consuming anything, you're just letting yourself be. And this is really helpful. So that would look like go to a spa for a day. Oh my gosh, highly recommend. Highly recommend. I just recently went on the spa day with my friend. Oh my gosh. I had never been to a spa that had three different temperatures of pools and two different kinds of saunas. But let me tell you, it was divine. It was so fueling, so restorative. Go get yourself a spa day. Or maybe it's just go for a walk by yourself where you're not listening to anything. You're just with yourself and nature. Or if it's too cold for that, because I know it's cold in a lot of places right now, maybe you could go for a drive and not have anything playing on the radio or a podcast and just like go for a drive. Or maybe it's you filling a tub and put in some salt, some Epsom salt or some soaking salts or whatever would feel really good for you. And you just dim the lights, light a candle, and just sit in the tub. Let yourself be. Give yourself the time and spaciousness to just allow what's here to come forward because you really do know. And if you are looking for a complete reset, invitation to come join me at the Intuitive Leader Retreat. We're going to be in person in Lincoln City, Oregon, March 3 through 5, 2026. You can get information by going to brendawinkle.com/retreat 2026. That's brendawinkle.com/RETREAT 2026. Retreat 2026. This is a whole system reset. It'll be a chance for you to get crystal clear on what's happening, crystal clear on your intuitive knowledge, your intuitive nudgings, so that you can make decisions of what's next for you from a completely regulated place. So go check that out. There are only 7 spots remaining as I record this on January 24th. And we are going to can't talk, close the doors to the retreat in about 4 weeks. So if you want one of those spots, please go check it out. We'd love to have you there. It's going to give you space, a chance to slow down, a chance to regulate, a chance to be mirrored in your expansive energy, a chance to integrate. This retreat has lots of time for you just to integrate the experience. We're beautiful. Airbnb is where we're going to be housed. It's up on a cliff where we have an incredible view of the Pacific Ocean. There's a deck that's undercover. So we're going to be nestled in blankets on lounge chairs undercover. So even if it's rainy or misty, we're going to be cozy and toasty and dry and beautiful. And there's a beautiful round dining table that we're going to be gathered around for our incredible lunches and our snacks. There's a lovely, incredible living room with a fireplace. We're going to be gathered around. There's breath work. There's going to be Reiki healing included in the breath work. It's just going to be really restorative. There'll be live somatic coaching, and you're going to meet other like-minded seekers. So I want to close on this. You are not behind. You are not getting this wrong. You're not doing this wrong. Your feelings are valid. Your nudge to stay or go is valid. And when you come back to that regulated place, you can completely trust it. And I want to name one more thing. If you do decide it's time to go, time to leave the job, the relationship, the friendship, the home, the town, there are going to be a lot of people who are going to try and talk you out of that. And they're going to tell you how your feelings are not valid. And you probably will gaslight yourself a little bit because the identity hasn't completely shifted. And I just want to double down on this and say, you can trust what you know. You can trust yourself. You can trust your emotions. And choosing yourself and what you know to be true for you, what you know to be best for you, above what other people think, above other people's disappointment, above what even you might be telling yourself about what it means about you leaving, does not matter compared to how you feel about choosing you. It's literally the most powerful thing you'll ever do. Okay, bye for now. Oh, wait, one more thing. If you think you know somebody who this would be helpful for, would you please go share it with them? Share it with them right now. Just hit that forward button wherever you're listening or copy the link, send it on to somebody that you care about. And if you could please leave the podcast a rating and review, it really would be so incredibly helpful. You can leave your rating and a comment on Spotify. That is so helpful. Thank you for doing that. And you can also just go leave a review on Apple Podcasts or on whatever listening platform you are. If you're on, if you could just leave that 5-star review, that'd be amazing. I believe in you. I believe that you know what's best for you. I believe you can trust your intuition. And I believe that You deserve this new identity you are trying to step into. I love you. You can do this. Bye for now. Until next time.